We are moving on to next, and the recording is in yes, recording is in progress. Now we are moving on to the next segment that is about industrial performance of Pakistan. It will be covered from chapter 6 and 7, mainly taking help from chapter 6 and 7 of the book Issues in Pakistan, written by Sayyid Al. And the industrial performance of Pakistan is so very closely related to associated with the trade performance that by the time we complete chapter 6 and 7, discussing the industrial performance of Pakistan, the trade performance of Pakistan will automatically be covered. And the trade performance of Pakistan has been discussed in chapter 9 of Issues in Pakistan. मैंने आपको दो क्लिप पहले से भेजे हुए थे, तो ये तीसरा आप समझ लें कि जो इसको कंप्लीट कर देगा। और वो बहुत कम लोग आप में से देख रहे हैं, एग्जाम में प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी, यही तो टाइम है देखने का। तो आप लोगों ने जो मैंने आप लोगों को लेक्चर में भेज रहा हूँ बहुत है ना, उसके तो जो व्यूअरशिप है वो 30% भी नहीं आ रही क्लास साइज, और एलएमएस से सबको पता चल जाता है कि कौन है और कौन नहीं। अगर किसी के अटेंडेंस का भी इशू है तो वो उनको वीडियोस को पूरा देखेगा तो एलएमएस पे हमें मालूम हो जाएगा। तो आप फिर उसके बाद आप क्लेम कर सकते हैं अपनी अटेंडेंस, उससे पहले नहीं। ऑनलाइन क्लास का तरीका ये है कि जो भी रेलिवेंट मटेरियल डाला गया है उसे पूरा गो थ्रू करते हैं और वो सब पता चलता है एलएमएस पर, मैं आपकी एक्टिविटी देख सकता हूँ। तो उसको देखें पहले पूरा, फिर बात करें। अच्छा, हम ये पहले समरी में बात कर चुके हैं कि जो पाकिस्तान वाज अ न्यू स्टेट एंड ब्रिटिशर्स kept us backward. They wanted to obtain raw material and food item from our region, just because our region was very fertile, of Punjab and Sindh especially. And they do not and they did not want to develop our region because we were the main source of providing soldiers to the British Army. During the Second World War, more than 50% of soldiers of British Army were from Hindustan. Just imagine. So they kept us backward, and during the 110 years of British rule, there was no development in our region. So we were lagging seriously behind. We had three advantages. We were producing abundance of raw cotton. We were producing abundance of jute, raw jute. अगर मैं ईस्ट पाकिस्तान को भी मिला लूँ, and if you add East Pakistan in your discussion, so we used to produce 70% of world jute output. 70% हम अकेला करते थे। ठीक है, we had abundance of natural resources, but we did not have any industrial base. We did not have investable funds. We did not have entrepreneurial expertise, and our banking system collapsed. We were inherited 25% of banking system of total British India, but most of the employees in that banking system were from non-Muslim community. Majority of them migrated to India, so our banking system simply collapsed. We had only 20 crore rupees to run our country when we came into being. Our share in the British Indian Exchequer's treasury was not given to us. It is largely undelivered to us even today. गांधी साहब ने मरण व्रत रखा था। He went on strike till death, protesting against Indian government that Pakistan should be given its due share in financial exchequers. और जिस फैनेटिक ने उनको मारा, वो उसने उसने यही बताया कि वो उसी को इसलिए गुस्सा आया कि उन्होंने मरण व्रत रखा पाकिस्तान को पैसे दिलवाने के लिए। बहरहाल, बट उस वक्त कुछ पैसे मिले पाकिस्तान को गांधी साहब की कोशिशों से, बट लार्जली द शेयर इज अनबिलीवर्ड इवन टुडे। And we had no central bank. We had no specific currency of our own. We were not. We were. Uh, our rate of literacy was only 16 to 17%. Majority of the population was illiterate. It means that skilled labor was also not available. ये मैंने बता दिया है, हालांकि ये सब लेक्चर में कवर है। तो सर्वाइवल वाज आवर मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव। ठीक है, और उसके लिए वी डिसाइडेड टू फॉर सर्वाइवल वी डिसाइडेड दैट वी विल यूज इनकम इंपोर्ट सब्स्टिट्यूशन एज आवर मेन इकोनॉमिक फ्रेमवर्क। ठीक है, अच्छा, अब इम्पोर्ट सब्स्टिट्यूशन में आपको समझा चुका हूँ समरी में भी। Under import substitution, you produce anything that you can produce utilizing your own resources, and you discourage or ban the import of alternative items from abroad. ठीक है? It means that you make your economy close. You do not want to engage very much into international trade. You want to utilize your own domestic resources, and you want to establish your own productive capability. You increase your productive capability. ठीक है? तो this paid off initially. अगर आपको मैं फिर रिपीट करूं, लुकिंग एट द स्लाइड, मैंने स्लाइड लिखी and we make your economy close. It means that import becomes very difficult, and import and in order to import, one had to obtain license, which was a daunting task those days. Uh, And under import substitution, what do? You allocate almost all investable resources to develop industry. And obviously, it means that the adverse effect has to be borne by agricultural and the social sector. It is done in the hope that the country will develop soon, utilizing industrial rise. In industry, we can increase output, we can multiply output relatively rapidly as compared to non-industrial sectors. I have already shared with you the three advantages that industry has over non-industrial sector. तो no point to repeat it. ठीक है ना? और वो उसमें भी होगा अपना, जो भी आपने लेक्चर अगर देखा है तो ठीक। Import substitution has its own advantages and disadvantages. It is part of lecture. देख लीजिएगा। ठीक है। इट पेड ऑफ। पाकिस्तान की इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन हुई, बहुत रैपिड हुई, यहाँ तक कि हमने आप चेक करें क्या लिखा हुआ है। हमने 28.7% का भी हमने ग्रोथ रेट अचीव किया। और जो ओवरऑल जो एवरेज ग्रोथ रेट है फॉर द डेकेड, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट लार्ज स्केल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, इट इज 19%। 19% is a phenomenal figure. This is a world record. No country has ever been able to take to take such a rapid sorry, no country has yet been able to manage such a rapid takeoff when it comes to industrialization in the world. This is a world record. पाकिस्तान से ज्यादा तेज इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन किसी मुल्क में शुरू नहीं। 19.1% is the average industrial growth rate of Pakistan. ठीक है ना? This is so very 4.9% lowest है। ये फिर हमने सब डिस्कस किया हुआ है। अच्छा, जो हमें इसमें जो है डिस्कस करना है मेनली, वो ट्रेड परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ पाकिस्तान ले। मेनली इट इज अवेलेबल इन चैप्टर 9 ऑफ इश्यूज इन पाकिस्तान का। As a result of acha, keep in mind that India was our largest partner. Before partition, we used to be one country. Our region used to contribute in terms of food items and raw material, and British government very intelligently and cleverly established industry in Indian region, Chennai, Mumbai, Kolkata, big cities. So this raw material used to be shifted to those cities in order to add value to it in industrial sector. And when we became to different country, this raw material became our export and it became Indians import. So we used to export more than 60% of our raw material to India only. India was our largest trading partner. After the end of the Second World War, uh, keep in mind that British pound used to be the international medium of exchange. But after the end of the war, UK lost her position as the supreme superpower of the world, and USA became the strongest country of the world. British pound lost its position as the international medium of exchange, and US dollar became the new international medium of exchange. The British government had to devalue their pound. They devalued British pound significantly. 48 other currencies also devalued just because the British pound used to be the international medium of exchange those days. Pakistan did not devalue. Just because in order to make import substitution successful, if you have to maintain an overvalued exchange rate. I have explained what is overvalued exchange rate in past classes. You fix the price of foreign exchange relatively cheaper as compared to international price in terms of your own currency. It means that you make your currency expensive, overvalued, or you increase the purchasing power of your currency by government control. बहरहाल जब ये सब कुछ हो गया तो इंडिया ने भी डीवैल्यू कर दिया था इन लाइन विद ब्रिटिश पाउंड डीवैल्यूएशन एंड दे वर एक्सपेक्टिंग एंड डिमांडिंग पाकिस्तान should also devalue. But we wanted to have overvalued exchange rate just to make import substitution successful. So we did not devalue. This was a decision that infuriated India, and they uh, boycotted and they suspended trade relationships. तो हमारे तो ट्रेड रिलेशन ही खत्म हो गए. इंडिया वाज कॉन्फिडेंट दैट पाकिस्तान would not be able to find alternative sale buyers and Pakistan will have to sell to them at cheaper prices. But this is है ना, another name that we use for our dear country is Mamlikat Khudadat Pakistan, a state given to us by God, and the first evidence came in the invisible hand of God came into action. And in March 50, Korean Civil War broke out. ये जो कोरियन सिविल वॉर थी, this disrupted the supply of raw material to the different region of the world just because due to war, ship traveling became insecure. And India and Korea was herself a supplier of raw material, but they were fighting against each other. The result is South Korea and North Korea वो दो हिस्सों में divide हो गए, आप लोग जानते हैं. But this came as a blessing in disguise for Pakistan, just because countries who were not able to buy raw material from their old partner because of war, they find a new seller in Pakistan, and Pakistan found new buyers. तो हमने महंगा बेचा, खूब बेचा, we were in trade surplus. And when India found that Pakistan was not in a fix and Pakistan had found other partners, they became ready to purchase at higher prices just because they had to run their factories. भाई उनकी फैक्ट्रियां कैसे चलेंगी अगर हम मटेरियल नहीं लेंगे. तो भाई हमें बड़ा मजा आया. But in 1952, at the end of the civil war in South Korea, we were in a fix. We lost our new partners just because they reverted back to their traditional ways, and we had to devalue our currency for the very first time. But the decision not to devalue in 1948, just because of civil war in Korea, became a beneficial decision for Pakistan. You can see in this graph, we had trade surplus in 1950-51. 3-year-old Pakistan had trade surplus, and 80-year-old Pakistan is finding it difficult to have trade surplus. Okay, okay. And our trade policy was revolving around three focal points, three main points. Number one was the overvaluation of Pakistani rupee relative to other currencies. I have explained this point in the class also. A use of quantitative controls over imports to regulate the level and the composition of imported goods. Quantitative controls were imposed on imports. We did not want to import unwanted item, and we wanted to import cheap machinery and technology. So how this was done? Low tariff was imposed on import of machinery and high tariff was imposed on import of unwanted items. And the point number 3, we imposed highly differentiated tariff structure. Last point देखिएगा. We imposed highly differentiated tariff structure on imports. वही जो मैं बता रहा हूँ. Low tariff on machinery import and high tariff on luxury items. And export taxes were also imposed on agricultural exports, jute and cotton. And why did we impose taxes on export of main raw material? We did not want to export it at higher prices. We wanted to make it available to our infant nascent industry at cheaper prices. Okay. So, अब जाहिर है, the export prices, the international prices were higher than the domestic prices. It means that for export, for jute and cotton farmer, export was more beneficial just because there was a higher profit margin. But what government did by imposing higher taxes on export of jute and cotton, they eliminated that profit margin that was there in export. So the only feasible market left for jute and cotton farmer was the domestic market. तो डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्री को बड़ा फायदा होगा। तो देखें कि क्या है ट्रेड पॉलिसी। लो टैरिफ वर इम्पोज ऑन इंटरमीडिएट एंड कैपिटल गुड, मशीनरी, टेक्नोलॉजी वगैरह है। टाइट कंट्रोल ओवर इंपोर्ट ऑफ लग्जरीज, लग्जरी को आने ही नहीं देना। कंट्रोल्स ऑन अदर कंज्यूमर गुड के ऊपर भी हाई टैरिफ होना। ईजियर एक्सेस टू कैपिटल गुड्स एंड इंडस्ट्रियल रॉ मटेरियल, इनके ऊपर बहुत चीप कर देना है, कंडीशन आसान कर देनी है, इंपोर्ट आसानी से हो जाए। तो दिस वाज आवर ट्रेड पॉलिसी। ठीक है। एंड इन ऑर्डर टू सेव एक्सचेंज रेट है ना, वी इम्पोज इम्पोर्ट लाइसेंस सिस्टम। यानी एक्सचेंज, फॉरेन एक्सचेंज सिर्फ वही उसी को मिलेगा जिसके पास इम्पोर्ट लाइसेंस होगा। एंड ऑब्टेनिंग इम्पोर्ट लाइसेंस वाज नॉट एन इजी थिंग। ठीक है ना। तो दैट्स हाउ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान जो है टू मैनेज लिमिटेड एक्सचेंज रेट्स। Import substitution progressed easily and very rapidly in those industries that had the highest protection. Now, on the basis of data, we see that import substitution, though it was a success, but it was success basically mainly in the industry that was protected. Protected means we did not allow import of alternative better quality foreign items. ठीक है ना। कंजम्पशन कंज्यूमर गुड्स थी that had cheap and ready access to domestically produced primary agricultural raw materials such as cotton, jute and leather. ठीक है ना। कुछ डेटा वेटा है, देख लीजिएगा, मैं इसका जिक्र करता रहा हूँ। ठीक है। तो पाकिस्तान के अर्ली 1950s में वी वर इन अ गुड पोजीशन, लेकिन एट द आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द सिविल कोरियन सिविल वॉर वी आवर ट्रेड सरप्लस टर्न इनटू ट्रेड डेफिसिट, हैवी ट्रेड डेफिसिट। सो वी डिवैल्यूड अवर करेंसी। वी डिड नॉट हैड industrial and financial institution required to run the country. So Pakistan Industrial Development Corporation was founded in 1952. ठीक है। तो in order to the conclusion of the whole period, the most developed areas, यानी अगर आप याद रखें, the main objective of our trade, of our industrial policy, of our economic policy was import substitution over valued exchange rate. We wanted to industrialize our country rapidly. ठीक है। and the most developed areas within the year 48 to 58 was the restoration of the banking sector. We were able to restore our banking sector, मैंने बता दिया क्या प्रॉब्लम थी शुरू में। and we were able to establish our own central bank known as a state bank. ठीक है। this was significant. We very rapidly managed our collapsed financial system. The development of industrial sector was highly impressive. I have told you that we set a world record of highest industrial growth rate, a large scale manufacturing growth rate. Our average is 19.1%, which is very high, and it is a world record. The world record is 28.4% large scale manufacturing growth rate. Investment in education and health sector was not there just because our investable fund were limited, and we were providing finances to industry on priority basis. And social sector and agriculture had to sacrifice. So this is an era of economic success just because we achieved our key objective of survival. Though our economic growth rate is not very impressive, is encouraging. Our average economic growth rate for the period is only 3.4%. But why do we not mind it? Just because we were not targeting high growth, we were targeting survival. Our agricultural growth rate was devastating 1.4%, clearly indicating that no positive incentive was given to our industry. Okay? And our industrial growth rate was a world record. The industrialization was there, but we were not able to sustain that after some point of time. We lost that industrial boom, and we were not able to finish the job, or we were not able to transform our country into a completely industrialized nation. But this era is not a, है ना, we do not consider the economic performance of this first decade of Pakistan as bad. We consider it as satisfactory, not good, but satisfactory. तो हाँ भाई, ये era भी खत्म हो गया. एनी क्वेश्चन बच्चों? इसको यही रोक देते हैं, क्योंकि कोई फिर रिकॉर्डिंग छोटी हो जाती है, वो बड़ी हो जाती है. ठीक है ना, इसको यही रोकते हैं.